I like going to retweet and all that stuff first.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to The Editor and the Alien. I am your co-host, the Night Editor, Kat Rocha, and with me, as always, is...
J.Ishiro, author and alien in a human suit.
And tonight you all are going to participate in an experiment. No, not the kind of experiment that Dr. Forrester subjects Joel and Mike to, but a much more fun one.
We want to know if you can notice flavor crystals in the new Folgers.
Exactly.
And if new Coke tastes better than Pepsi.
Oh, I was going to say, can you tell the difference between Crystal Pepsi and the real thing? No, actually, what this is tonight, at least to begin with, and then we will have some fun afterwards, is that for those of you who don't know, I'm currently in the process of getting my degree in business, and I have an assignment for my innovative leadership class where I need to talk about leadership as it relates to the concepts of power and influence. And part of one of my assignments is they said, talk about it on a podcast. And I'm like, well, hey, I have a podcast. Not only can I go on and talk about it, but I can get all of you guys to join in too. So we're going to have some fun this evening.
Before, as always, though.
Yes. But before, as always.
Like, share, retweet. And absolutely share it, please, because YouTube's not telling people when these episodes go up. So if you can go to your social media right now and share that we're broadcasting, that would be very nice.
And definitely, once you're done listening to this episode, please check out Death War Grease Paint by our very own J.Ishiro Finney.
Yes. Check out Death War Grease Paint, the story of a clown who dared to open his mind to the wisdom of the Necronomicon and found it hilarious. It's the perfect Halloween story from yours truly. And it's also probably the funniest thing I've ever written. Only 99 cents if you read it on Kindle, or free on Kindle Unlimited.
All right. So let's get down to it. So to begin with, the question of leadership and power has come up a lot in the last 4 years. And I do mean a lot. In fact, I think to the point where we're all pretty much sick of it. 2020 has seen the question come up almost as much as the question about public health and safety. You know, especially the ideas of, should this particular political leader have the right to do X, Y, Z? Should they have the right to appoint this person or that person? And should the American people have the right to make decisions for themselves, or should their leaders make those decisions for them? The one thing that everyone universally seems to agree on is that you cannot have leadership without wielding some sort of power over those you lead. But the next question is it all power that the leader, that the leader wields, or do our leaders, both good and bad, wield also influence? Can you have only one as a leader and not the other? And at what point does influence end and power begin? To begin with, yes? Okay. To begin with, we should define what power is. Power is a person's ability to control the activities of other individuals. And influence is the capacity or the power of persons or things to be the compelling force on or produce effects on the actions, behavior, opinions, etc. of others.
And what better than to talk about our favorite TV heroes and villains?
Yes, but that will come up later. I have to get through this part first.
No.
No?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I can't?
You have to.
I have to.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I have to get through this point first, and then we will have our discussion about our favorite TV heroes and villains. The word power is often seen as a dirty word, used only by tyrants and villains, and in tales like used by tyrants and villains like Cersei from Game of Thrones, where influence is often looked upon favorably as something benevolent leaders possess, such as Daenerys Targaryen. But is that really true? I mean, we've all heard the phrase, absolute power corrupts absolutely, but is it correct for this concept of power to have received this response? Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs believes so. He was quoted in Forbes as saying, influence is consistently successful while power wreaks havoc. Power is a zero-sum game. The more you give away, the less you have. So it seems that according to the rabbi, power is negative because a leader needs it not only to have in order to stay in control, but the loss of power means the loss of that control. You can even imply that one needs to continually obtain more power in order to exact the same amount of influence on others. Conversely, a presentation on leadership created by the United States Air Force contains this quote from the Marine Corps Gazette. Leaders who share their power and their time can accomplish extraordinary things. The best leaders understand that leadership is the liberation of talent. Hence, they gain power not only by constantly giving it away, but also by not grabbing it back. It seems the U.S. military believes that power is something a leader can give to those they lead and is best used when not forced on others. But what is this power that leaders either have, take, or give to others? Through study and research, leadership power has been identified as coming from 5 main sources. Now we're getting to the fun part. Legitimate power comes from an individual's position of authority. It's based on organizational hierarchy and is awarded or appointed. Individuals given legitimate power can use this ability to be successful leaders, such as good managers or political figures. It can also be used by tyrants and little Napoleons to force their control over others without having the people's say or vote. People in this position not only can exert a lot of power, but influence as well. In fact, power almost cannot be expressed without some form of influence. To best explain, let us first, I did not edit something. Sorry about that. Coercive power can be used on its own or in tandem with legitimate power. It's the exertion of will based on fear, all stick and no carrot. This use of power forces those under the leader to bend to their will at the threat of penalties and repercussions. It's Darth Vader choking every admiral that displeases him. Conversely, reward power is the exertions of authority through reward of doing what the leader wants. Very little influence is used because the leader is not changing the views or ideas of those under them, only giving the incentives of doing as they are told. You can liken this sort of power to the kind a parent holds when they tell a child to do their homework or no Xbox. Expert power is the exertion or influence on others through skill and expertise. A leader possessing expert power knows how to change the views and actions of others so that they are willingly and happily following the leader's example and direction. A good manager can have this effect on their subordinates when it's announced that everyone will be staying late for inventory duty. And we've all been through that. A cult or religious leader also can have this effect on those that are part of their flock. Insert the obvious Jonestown here. Charismatic power comes from a person's ability to charm, attract, and entertain others. We're very familiar with this form of power. We see it every day on television. But isn't the ability to charm and attract others also the ability to, yes?
Yeah, keep reading.
Yeah. Also the ability to exhibit influence? In fact, the relationship
You've charmed and attracted me.
Oh. I thought that it was the influence of other things.
It was the magnetic influence of two powerful moons.
Like in Inhumanoids?
Exactly.
Was it Matlar?
No, it was decomposed. Could only come out at night.
No. The one that's the poles of the Earth.
Oh, Polaris, yeah.
Polaris. There you go. Already we're getting into the geekdom. In fact, the relationship between power and influence is almost inseparable. According to the U.S. Air Force, there are 3 types of influence. 1, retribution. Retribution forces others to do your will with threats and intimidation. Often this influence does produce the results that the leader wants, but tends to breed resentment, and after a time, there are threats that must be increased to maintain the same level of influence. Or an increased demonstration of power must be done. This sort of influence seems to go hand in hand with coercive power, but can also be exhibited in expert power. I can never say this word, reciprocity. Through trust and reward, a leader can either bargain with those that they lead or appeal to their sense of obligation in order to achieve the desired goals. This sort of influence can be wielded by all 5 types of power. It just depends on how it's used. Reason. Explain to others why they should follow what you say by showing them facts or appealing to their values and goals. This could be used by expert power just as easily as coercive and even charismatic power. And now the fun part. Let us look at some examples of leaders and the types of power and influence that they wield. And because this is not blood sports, we are only going to do fictional leaders, not real ones.
So what? You don't want to talk about real leaders?
No.
I realize that there's a certain German dictator that can get you banned on this channel. YouTube will actually just ban you outright for mentioning his name because...
Yes, but most people like Willy Wonka.
So who should we start with?
We shall start with, I have a few lists here. Actually, what I'm going to talk about first, strangely enough, is John Connor.
John Connor? He's not a 80s TV villain or hero.
No, but he is a fictional character.
I guess so.
Okay. And yes, and I do mean that John Connor from the Terminator franchise. For the sake of argument, let's say that his story ended with T3 Terminatrix, because quite frankly, it's just a shit show after that. John Connor was a reluctant hero who rose to lead the resistance because of his expert power and knowledge of how to fight and survive the machines. It was this power that allowed him to influence those who are part of the resistance. Reason and trust built on reciprocity, I can't say that word, helped keep the survivors together. But it wasn't just that. The very real fear of what could happen if the machines found you was strongly used to coerce those who may not fall in line. And the threat of retribution in the form of death by the Terminators should anyone not follow the orders. So
that's where we're at?
That's my thing for John Connor.
Okay, so am I supposed to comment on John Connor now, or?
You can comment on John Connor. You can move on to somebody else. We're just gonna have fun now.
Okay, so no more of this academic stuff. Now we get to actually raise some hell.
No, the only thing I gotta say is that neither power nor influence is good or bad. It's all how you use it. And now we're gonna have fun and talk.
Well, let's start. Let's start with a fan favorite, someone I know quite a bit about.
Yes. Starscream?
Well, no, he's not on the list. He never actually was leader for more than a few minutes.
For like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Dictator for an hour.
King for a day.
Yeah.
Fool for a lifetime.
Wasn't that the title of that episode?
No.
No, I know that...
It's an album title.
I know, but I thought that episode was...
no, it's the movie.
Or the movie.
That was called Transformers the movie.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I'm tired. I had to do school.
So, no. I think there is a leader that influenced a lot of children in the worst possible way. Or actually not. You know what? Us 80s kids, we learned communism was complete crap. And you know how we learned communism was complete crap?
How?
By seeing the leadership of this fucker.
Yes.
The ultimate communist.
Yes.
The Smurfs was a massive communist propaganda.
And that's not a joke. That
actually, it isn't. No.
No, that's really true.
That isn't just some stoner theory. It actually was communist propaganda.
And other things about the Smurfs, too.
Yeah, apparently Gargamel really is an anti-Semitic...
caricature.
Yeah. I always thought that was just some paranoid conspiracy until I looked into it. And apparently the Smurfs go back to the 50s, I believe, or even maybe earlier.
Yeah.
And it was a German legend or something that Gargamel was essentially supposed to be a greedy rabbi who wanted to turn the Smurfs into gold.
Wasn't he also an alchemist?
Yeah.
And that was part of it?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of just, but yeah, it really was communist. And I think, seeing the leadership of Papa Smurf and just how often sheer stupidity nearly killed everyone.
Yeah.
Is just an indicator of, look, it didn't work.
Well, you know that communism didn't work because they didn't share a Smurfette.
And, it was, every episode ended with, well, that wasn't real communism. On the other hand, do you have any comments on Papa Smurf?
I am agreeing with you wholeheartedly.
On the other hand, let's look at a great leader.
Yes.
A leader that, again, really, really taught Gen X a lot of things. And that would be Optimus Prime.
Yes.
Your friend. The guy that was like everybody's dad.
He was everybody's dad.
Patterned on John Wayne and Abraham Lincoln. He knew how to get everyone together to say, Autobots roll out. He led by being an inspirational leader and a hero.
Indeed.
Oh, you have notes on this.
I have notes on Optimus Prime. I wrote up a little thing on him for the stuff for school. And, because Optimus Prime, God, I can't talk. Optimus
Dude,
Prime.
why did you drink before the episode?
Because I needed the monster.
Oh, okay.
No, not the Kraken, the monster. Okay, Optimus Prime, as we all know, was given the Autobot Matrix by Alpha Trion as a symbol of leadership, and thus he gained legitimate power bequeathed upon him. But even with this power, Optimus earned the trust of those that he led through reciprocity.
Yeah, he actually was never a ladder climber.
Nope.
He never actually craved power. He only took the leadership role because he had to.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, oftentimes he would want to put himself in danger more than putting those that followed him in danger. So thus earning even more trust because he'd be willing to do things that, Yeah,
if anything, one of his big mistakes was that he was often a little too self-sacrificing.
No, his biggest mistake was giving the Matrix to fucking Hot Rod.
No. He gave it to Ultra Magnus first.
Oh, true.
And the movie wrote it in that he gave it to Hot Rod.
Ugh.
I think in reality, Magnus should have just kept the damn thing.
Yeah. I'm like, look, dude. No, you're not rejecting it. You're just getting cold feet. Everybody has that.
Conversely, there's everyone's favorite Mussolini clone, Megatron. And, this was a leader of brute force.
So would you say that Megatron, does he lead through, he was appointed, or did he take it by force? Or
it's never clear exactly. I mean, the show never really got into how he became leader. I mean, there were later retcons to it, but really, he rules completely by force. I mean, he's not the smartest. He's definitely not the most charismatic. Actually, he doesn't have many good qualities at all, other than he's the strongest, and he's really good at screaming at people and hitting them if they don't do what he says. He's ruthless.
So you'd consider that coercive power. Rule through exertion of fear.
Yeah, if there was an iron fist, he's it. That, and I think him and Starscream, I think that really underneath all that, they loved each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think it's
I think it was, they just could not come to terms with their feelings.
In odd couple situation.
Just like He-Man and Skeletor. They just could not admit to themselves how they felt. You agree with that?
Well, that and Starscream is just too fast.
So what do you think?
What, Skeletor?
Yeah, yeah.
Skeletor is awesome. I think Skeletor. The thing is that I would say that he leads through fear, but his insults are funny more than anything.
Well, let me get the graphic going here, if the damn thing will let me.
I mean, if anything, I'd say that it's expert power that he leads by his skill and leadership. Because it definitely, he's not threatening other than that skull face.
Wait. So why is he leading by expert power?
Because he would kick everybody's ass with that sword of his.
Yeah?
And his magic.
Yeah, you kind of wonder why he's always falling back on the magic.
Yeah.
Why you really... And what do you think of the relationship with Hordak?
Honestly?
Yeah.
If I didn't know any better, I'd swear that they were related. Maybe not father son, but definitely uncle and nephew. Because they kind of, Hordak definitely has that don't make me kick your ass type of mentality.
Well, Hordak seemed to be a stronger leader in general.
Yes.
His troops definitely he maintained an empire opposed to Skeletor.
Well, come on, the dude can turn himself into a birthday cake. He's like,
well, that's what I was going to ask. Is he knew Prince Adam was constantly baking. If you've watched the show, he was constantly baking.
Mm-hmm.
So why not turn himself into a birthday cake and hide himself in the castle?
Well, yeah, he's like his own spy network.
I mean, now, if he'd been really smart, he would have had Skeletor hide inside the cave.
Would Skeletor be naked?
Okay.
Happy birthday!
So we've got some comments here already.
Ricky Joya, in Spanish, the Smurfs are called pitufos. I now see them as pitifuls. Mad Kronk, Smurfette, the only Smurf who always had a job.
Yes, and just a little further on the insight of what the creators of the Smurfs thought of women.
Mm-hmm.
The only woman in the group was an alchemy experiment gone wrong by Gargamel.
Yes.
And he created her to fuck everything up. And even when they made her good and made her blonde, she still fucked everything up because they were constantly fighting over her.
Yeah.
And Papa Smurf, being a dirty old bastard, even said, "Do you want to be Mama Smurf?" Yeah. I'm not kidding. That was really in the episode.
I know you're not.
Okay, we've got an Owen Lister comment.
Owen, Optimus Prime, the Superman of the Autobots. David Jack, as for leaders, I know that Billy Butcher is an anti-hero, but would you still count him as an effective leader of the boys' team before he completely snapped after Hoadlander's coup was foiled?
Do you mean the comic or do you mean the TV show? Because fuck the TV show.
We're going to talk about that later.
They just completely pissed it all down their legs in one episode. Completely betrayed the entire series. Fuck them. So, let's see.
Would I count him as an effective leader? Actually, I would say that for the purposes of this discussion, Billy Butcher leads through fear.
He's up there with Megatron, kind of.
Yeah, he is up there with Megatron.
He's kind of a crappy leader in general.
He is. The only reason why these people follow him is because he's the biggest dick in the room, and they all feel more comfortable having him tell them what to do. Yeah.
It's the bully model, essentially.
Yeah. And
they all hide behind the biggest guy, except for the woman.
Yeah.
She's just got nowhere else to go. She could tear his head off if she wanted.
Yeah, actually, she seems to be there strictly out of loyalty to Frenchie.
Yeah.
She probably would have ghosted long ass time ago if it wasn't for Frenchie.
But yeah, I think in general, Butcher was a terrible leader.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and that often the only reason his plans worked was because of the plot being written that way. Or the villains being stupid.
Indeed. Definitely. And the only reason why, Huey is there is, for a variety of things. One, because Huey has nowhere else to go.
Huey's supposed to be the audience.
He is supposed to be the audience. But I don't know. There are times where it's like, Huey, why are you still with these people?
Well, because really, where is he going to go?
Yeah.
He's a fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I actually think even in the comic, especially in the comic, actually, it was a bit of an idiot plot. And I don't mind saying that. I think Garth Ennis is a great writer. I love some of his work. But frankly, the boys suffered from an idiot plot, meaning that the only reason the story functioned is so many people were fucking morons.
Well, so many people were fucking morons, and it was one joke.
Yeah, over and over. Well, no, I'm saying why the plot functioned, not why
the plot functioned.
not why the story failed.
See, I don't think the plot functioned.
Well, it didn't. It only worked because the superheroes were so inept.
That, well, you need to have growth after that point. I mean, what was it? We quit after what, the 6th?
I quit when it stopped, when the joke, every other joke was essentially superheroes are perverts. The episode where the Batman character has a fantasy of fucking a meteor to death. I just said, you know what? I don't care anymore.
Well, there's no growth. None at all from anyone. And the woman wasn't a character.
Not in the book.
No, not in the book. She was the thing you unleashed to just watch something get eviscerated.
Well, actually, yeah, the other characters were one-note characters, too. The Frenchman was really dull in the book.
Oh, he was really dull.
He was just kind of a creepy pervert.
Mm-hmm. MM was just cookie cutter.
He was the magical Negro.
He was the
I would be honest, he was. He wasn't a character like in the show.
He was the magical milquetoast Negro. I'm sorry. Dandy Spike. How great of a leader is King Randor?
His symbolic leader. He didn't seem to do much of anything other than be the Burger King.
Yeah.
I mean, really, does anyone ever remember King Rando doing anything useful?
No.
His wife was actually even more useful than he was, and she barely did much.
She got to say, I came from Earth.
Yeah. Well, no, she flew her ship once in an episode to save people.
True. Marvelous. So Starscream just wants Daddy to accept him?
I think so, actually. I think he wanted Daddy's approval. Well, depending on which version and what point of the series. Originally, that wasn't it. Originally, Starscream was supposed to be smarter than the rest of them. He was the smartest, the most conniving, and kind of a worm tongue. And he was pissed off that the big stupid brute was in charge and that no one would lead him. But he didn't have any leadership skills. Nobody liked him because he was an asshole.
Yeah. Well, how did he keep the other planes in line?
Well, because it was written that way. Because they never really... See, that was part of the problem, is that he was supposed to be the head of all the Seekers, all the jets, and that never really came up. In fact, there was... As the series went on, they kept disrespecting him. It's like, well, wait, aren't they loyal to him?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I'd love to get a chance to rewrite that, but not going to happen. IDW said no.
What do you think of the bromance with Jetfire?
Oh, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a good episode. I mean, it was written for kids, but it was a good episode. But, yeah, I mean...
Well, it definitely brought another dimension to Starscream.
Yeah, it did. It actually, and it gave a sense of what Cybertron was like before the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what, IDW? It was your flaw for letting Mags write this stuff instead of me.
Oh, I'm going to gag. Damien, Skeletor was banging Evelyn. This is canon. They have a kid together in the official comics. Dude.
Well, I guess he isn't gay.
No. Well, he could be bi.
She liked his bone.
Yes, she did. She wielded his sword. Harble, Skeletor is a punch clock villain like Evil Harry Dread from Pratchett's Last Hero. Ooh, a beast pit. That's a classic. Good old Skeletor. God, that actually is a problem with Pratchett. I've read 4 of his books, and 2 of them I was disappointed with. Cooper Clark, can we talk about the best intimidating villain for a second? Darkseid. He could look at me and I would piss myself. Okay, yeah, Darkseid's pretty damn badass.
Darkseid is essentially Satan
Well,
of the DCU.
you know, getting back to
There's a reason Michael Ironside voiced him.
yeah. Well, who else could exude that presence through a cartoon character? There's not many people who could.
Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David could. He definitely could. But no, the fact that the people who serve Darkseid, even though it is literally hell, they would rather be under his rule than anywhere else. That says a lot. You know, the torture, threat of death at every turn, you know, maiming is not the worst thing that can happen to you. Death is not the worst thing that can happen to you. And yet they would rather be there than anywhere else. Cesario.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Oh, sorry. Owen. So the boys are overrated. Oh, well, I never watched the show, nor do I plan to, because it's just the same wannabe Watchmen clone.
The show is actually surprisingly good until the most recent episode in which they literally betrayed everything.
Yeah.
It's just, they've ruined it. There's no going back from this. So don't bother.
Yeah, I really can't see how they could undo this.
All right, so let's go to another one.
Okay.
Let's go to the father we all wanted.
Batman? I'm joking. Splinter.
Yeah, Batman's not a leader.
No, he is not a leader. But you said the father we all wanted. No, Batman. You know, Splinter. Splinter has got to be probably actually. Speaking of which, we were talking about this earlier today, and we're talking about the difference between the portrayal of Splinter and Shredder in the Turtles movie, the first Turtles movie, and how, you know, Splinter is the good father. He's the mentor. He tells the boys to do things even though they don't want to do them. He comes down on them when they fuck up. But in the end, he has the best intentions and he just wants to try to prepare them for a life when he's not going to be there. Conversely, you have the Shredder gathering all of these young boys and misfits who don't have fathers at home.
Yeah, we're talking about the movie, not the cartoon.
Specifically the movie. You know, who don't have fathers at home, specifically gives them a place, and all he has to do is tell them, I give a shit that you exist. And these boys will follow him, you know, to fucking prison, you know, to property damage, to killing people. Again, all because he gives them a little bit of fatherly attention.
The thing about the movie that's so amazing, you know, first, we didn't expect anything from it. You know, we'd all seen the cartoon. We figured we were going to get something kind of kiddish and dopey. And we actually got a really good film that had an underlying theme of boys without fathers, which was so damn timely.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And I think that's one of the reasons the film endured as it did.
Mainly with our generation, but yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. Damn it, my Mumra graphic won't load. Oh, well.
Mumra's being elusive.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say definitely. So what kind of leadership style does he have?
Does Splinter have?
Mentor?
Mentor. He's definitely a mentor. I would definitely say, expert power, because he exerts his influence through skill and expertise. But mainly, he mainly does have influence more than power over the boys. I mean, they all know that Master Splinter could kick their asses if he really wanted to, but he never does. It's mostly, you'll stay put, you'll do, backflips when you're bad, it's mostly the influence that he exerts on them that helps keep them in line.
Okay, so we've got more comments.
Andy Spike, all fathers care for their sons.
Best line, yeah.
Very true. Neostar, the brilliant star that... okay. The brilliant star that shines through the night. The holy shit, it's Master Splinter! Oh, and the 1990 movie really showed Splinter being a good teacher and father. I love that version of him. I agree.
And I guess going on the theme of fathers.
Wolf 10, this is your family. I am your father.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Yeah, Shredder said that, right?
Yes. Yeah, Shredder did say that.
Let's see. We're not talking about The Secret of the Ooze. That doesn't exist.
It could have been a good film. Why did they not have Bebop and Rocksteady?
Something happened. They decided to dumb it down, make it for kids. They put Looney Tunes sounds in. The plot was originally going to be about the Krang showing up.
Yeah.
And Baxter, what's his face? And then something happened in the production.
It turned into a Ernie Reyes Jr. Showcase piece.
That too, yeah. Well, they weren't even allowed to use their weapons.
No, they weren't. That's why you had that goofy fight scene at the beginning where they were, beating up the foot with toys.
And Super Shredder was retarded.
Super Shredder. I didn't see the point of Super Shredder. It's like, okay, he's big and roggy, and then he falls through a hole, and that's how he dies? What the hell? Yeah. Marv, what reason did a father need to protect his children? I'm actually very impressed by the quotes you all are pulling up. I was scared of Mum-Ra.
So speaking of Mum-Ra, that's your territory. Let's get to the Thundercats. What kind of leadership did Mum-Ra show over the mutants?
Well, he didn't. He wasn't a leader to them.
What was it? Were they mutants? Were they the ant?
No. Mum-Ra was by himself. What it was the mutants knew that there is that creepy old guy who lived in the swamp. And occasionally their paths would cross, and mainly it was Mum-Ra fucking with the mutants and getting them to do what he wanted them to do. Oh, so it was a
manipulator.
Yeah, it was a manipulator, but he wasn't a leader. There were even times where he acted humble and it was like, yes, I am just this withered old man and I can't do this thing. Can you go do this? I'll be eternally grateful. And really, he was laughing up his sleeve at them. So, and by the way, I actually have my Mum-Ra hoodie behind me at this very moment.
And by contrast, I would argue that Lion-O's leadership style was that he was a moron.
God, Lion-O.
He ruled by stupidity.
He did. Well, to be fair, Lion-O was only like 12 years old.
Gosh, guys, I guess I should go save the day. Do you want?
I mean, come on. The fact that he's 12 years old, no, even that doesn't explain it. Never mind. I was going to say that explains why he, doesn't even notice Chitara, but no, that doesn't explain it. Okay.
I don't think he swang that way.
No.
I think he was more interested in Panthro.
No, Tigra.
Tigra.
Tigra. I'm sorry. When I was a kid, I thought Tigra was kind of
fluffy.
Kind of fluffy, yes. What?
So what lessons did you learn from Thundercats?
I learned that they really didn't seem to be an effective force until Linkso and that crew showed up.
Yeah, what I got from it is they basically hung out in this cool castle and waited for the bad guys to do something so there'd be a plot.
Yeah. Although they did like hanging out with the Robears and the unicorns a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, they did that a lot. I think there was even a episode where it starts off with Lion-O and one of the other Thundercats, I don't remember which one, helping the elves of the forest to pen in the unicorns so that they didn't romp around so much. It's like, really, this is how you're passing your time. Penning in unicorns. Mad Kronk. Lion-O grew up on a world of nudity. Why would he care if he saw Chitara clothed? Why would any of them? I actually saw the pilot randomly.
He's got a point.
Mm-hmm. Well, the only reason why they're wearing the bondage gear is supposedly that will protect them from the elements on,
Third Earth.
On Third Earth. That really was the reasoning. They're in their ship. They're heading to Third Earth. The old guy dies. When they wake up out of stasis, he tells them, put on these clothes. They will protect you. Like,
okay, so since Thundercats and Silverhawks were essentially the same universe, they just never got the money to do the crossovers that they were planning. Third Earth. Does that mean that was a Third Earth colony, or Earth in the Third Age and humanity had just left the planet?
Third Age.
Third Age.
Third Age. Humanity had left the planet.
So what planet had the Silverhawks come from then? They weren't on Earth?
No, they came from somewhere else. I couldn't tell you where.
Because they were humans, and then they had to be turned into cyborgs so they could travel the journey. At I forget why.
Well, then there's that really hot bounty hunter chick.
Who? Actually, she did show up in both series, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
The one that was based on a Sarayama.
Yeah. So no, the Silverhawks were spacefaring. I never saw any episode where they brought up where they came from. Maybe they came from the same planet as Lone Star.
Lone Star?
Yeah, Lone Star, the third series. The Space Cowboy.
Oh, that was Brave Star.
No, Brave Star, thank you.
That was not the same universe.
I thought it was.
No, the third series was going to be something about sharks or something.
Oh.
They were humanoid shark people or something like that. And I don't know if that ever got made.
Sharks?
Yeah, street. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, I thought that Brave Star was in that universe. I had read something that it was. It was just...
Mandora? Is that where?
Oh.
Okay.
Jagra was the old guy. Oh, thank you.
I wouldn't mind a crack at doing a rewrite of Silverhawks. Although the one I want to do, if we're going to talk 80s properties, the one I would want to do is Inhumanoids.
Of course.
I would love to have a crack at relaunching Inhumanoids for an older audience, for the people who enjoyed it as kids, reading it today. And, I would keep all the essential basic plot points, all the basic characters, just scale it up a bit and make the Earth core a little bit more like Buckaroo Banzai.
I'd say definitely do that, but really play up the Ayn Rand angle as well.
Yeah. That was the thing, is no one realized it was actually a Randian parable, and that the one female character was based on Dagny Taggart and her douchebag brother.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. And then all the Lovecraftian overtones, of course.
You could even have her brother, quote unquote, selling carbon points.
Oh, geez, that's genius. Throw in an environmental angle.
Yeah. But in how, his angle is bullshit.
Base him on Al Gore.
Yeah.
Damn, I wish I had a chance to write this. This would be fun. Either as a fanfic or I'd love to do a comic, but as I said, IDW isn't going to do it.
No. Although when you showed me the Inhumanoids, I do have to say that the both the tree people and the rock people, the way their faces were sculpted reminded me so much of the gnomes from Return to Oz.
Really?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Do you recall what the gnomes looked like?
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like that. Owen, Tiger Sharks is what you're thinking of, and it does exist. I saw some episodes on YouTube.
Wow. Okay, so it did.
Dude. Thanks, Owen. Damien, they had to be converted into cyborgs because the journey to cross galaxies, because the journey would cross galaxies in a mere hours. Okay. Yeah. A matter of hours. I can't read tonight. I'm sorry, folks. Neo Star Productions. Wasn't Brave Star from the same universe as He-Man?
Correct.
Or are they just... Oh, that's
correct. It was.
That's the crossover. I knew it was a crossover. I thought it was with the Thundercats. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the one that we haven't gotten to, the one that we need to get to, the best of the bunch that we've overlooked so far, Cobra Commander.
Yes.
The most memorable, in my opinion, of really terrible leaders on 80s cartoons.
Write down that nobody wanted to have Thanksgiving with him.
So, what would you call his leadership style?
Shrill.
Shrill?
You know, you'd better do what I want or I'll shrill at you.
Well, as we know, the guy who wrote the series Bible in most of the episodes said he'd base the Joes on the functional family and Cobra on the dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, you realize Cobra Commander's the abusive mom.
Yep.
That kind of makes it all make sense.
Yeah, he's the nagging housewife.
But the question then is, where does Serpentor come in then? See the abusive stepdad?
No, Serpentor is the in-law.
The in-law?
The in-law who comes in to throw their weight around.
Like the mother-in-law?
Yeah.
You know, I could see that. And what's your opinion on Cobra Law? Good or bad? Should they have included that in the mythos or not?
See, personally, now I'm all for change in a story because otherwise you just stagnate. But I was never really on board with Serpentor. I actually thought it was a cheap way out when you had developed this rich character. I mean, to go from Skeletor to Hordak, that was a great step.
Hordak delivered.
Yeah, exactly. Hordak delivered. And so you could see that progression. But to go from Cobra Commander to Serpentor, it's like, and it's kind of a step down.
It was, and actually, in the show, they addressed it.
Did they?
Yeah, they soon realized that their genetic experiment that was Serpentor was a really bad idea. A really, really bad idea. In fact, that was also where I first learned about genetic engineering, was that series.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he was genetically engineered to be perfect, and it didn't work.
Well, no, he wasn't engineered to be perfect. They collected the DNA of all the greatest tyrants in history. Including Vlad Tepes and Genghis Khan, and strangely not Hitler, though.
That was a bridge too far for them, huh?
Yeah. And they spliced it together and made Serpentor. And it was a bad idea. And he was essentially nuts and completely worthless. So they finally got rid of him and they had to go crawling back to Cobra Commander.
Is that when he was living in a dumpster?
No, that was when Cobra was defeated, and it was the Transformers in the futuristic year of 2008.
Mm-hmm. Our old future.
And Cobra Commander was living on the street as a homeless man. And they used some of that genetic engineering and cloning technology to take the minds out of Transformers and put them into human bodies so that then they could take the bodies and sell them.
That's twisted. Okay. Which is more sadistic? Doing that or that episode where I can never remember his name, but the Autobots Tinker guy took the human and put his mind into basically a Kit Bash Junkion.
They did that episode.
That's what I mean. Which is worse?
I think that's worse.
Putting a human into a basically Kit Bash Junkion,
well, because it drove him mad.
Oh, true.
The Autobots were actually fine in human bodies.
Oh, okay.
They just didn't like being fragile and short.
Like, I'm small and I bleed. That's not cool. Joni, isn't Cobra Commander a former used car salesman in some continuities?
Yeah, I believe what the comic book lore, which is completely different than the TV show, Cobra began from, I believe, was a used car salesman who started a pyramid scheme. And that's where Cobra originated from, which I think actually is far more believable. Of course,
yeah,
they weren't all buffoons in the comic.
No.
And the comic writers actually went out of their way to have at least one character maimed per issue. No, but they couldn't
Wow.
kill anybody.
But
So they went out of the way to say, at least we can maim to show that it's dangerous.
no, that's cool, especially if it's like
And
permanent maiming.
at that, and apparently Baroness was banging half the team to get her way.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say morale.
Yeah.
Patty,
Well, she was a college radical in the comic.
oh yeah, you're
she
right.
was
She's
an-
like Patty Hearst.
Yeah, she was a college radical from Eastern Europe or Europe, I forget which, who got into Cobra that way.
Mhm.
Because she had gone to one too many, I guess, ethnic studies classes and race theory and postmodernism.
Well, that and I'm sure she was bored out of her skull being a rich girl. Panda power. Okay, so I'll contribute. Professor X. I think he's manipulative, but he cares about his students. Magneto uses mutants' fear of human perception to control them.
Persecution.
Thank you. To control them. I'm a smooth brain, but here.
No. Well, that's always been a big debate. My argument always has been is that Professor X is a villain.
I agree.
You know, you look at everything he's done, that he's used his influencing abilities on people left and right to get his way, to get them, forced people to join the team that way, used it to actually reduce the abilities and powers of certain characters on his team. He draws young children together. Okay, the claim is that he's the Martin Luther King of mutants, except instead of trying to integrate the mutants like he claims, no, he brings them all into a segregated school out in the middle of nowhere where he teaches and indoctrinates them into his ideology, raises them to be his own private fucking army,
Mhm.
and then sends them out to do battle around the world for his political cause. That doesn't sound like Martin Luther King to me.
Well, not only that, but if people get a little too uppity or have their own ideas, he'll freaking brainwash them.
Yep, he's brainwashed certain characters.
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wolverine, Jean, Rogue.
So I would argue Professor X is actually a villain. And, you know, say what you want about Magneto, but at least he's honest about what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
He's not pretending to be nice.
No, he's not.
He doesn't sell himself as this peacemaker.
No, he's not.
Peacemakers typically don't have private armies that they're training in secret from children that they have lured into their school claiming, oh, we're going to here to help them.
No, everybody who's part of the League of Mutants has come to him of their own free will because they like what he has to say.
That, and I would even go so far as to say Magneto had a point about needing a homeland.
Mm-hmm.
That, frankly, if the mutants were that dangerous as they were in the Marvel Universe, you know, look, let's face it, there's a problem there.
Well, it's kind of too bad they couldn't do a Moon as a Harsh Mistress.
Oh,
Type-
for mutants?
Yeah. It's like-
Yeah, well, the goddamn Inhumans already claimed the moon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They did, didn't they? All right, Damien. If you wrote a reboot of Inhumanoids, would Cobra Law be a cult connected to Slither instead of a G.I. Joe faction?
That would be genius. Yeah, I would do that totally. And since they're underground, I would include them since they're all in the same universe. Good idea. If I ever get it someday, if I ever get a hold of that property, I'll do that. Okay.
I don't know why. I just suddenly got this image of Decompose ripping the head off of Captain Planet.
I just like that idea. Decompose.
Or
Yes, and it was Wheeljack who did that horrible thing to Spike.
Wheeljack, thank you.
Man, so many of Wheeljack's plans were just really bad ideas.
It's like, we keep you so that they don't get you.
Okay, let's see. We're not going to Pokemon.
Oh, dear God, no. LK, then where do Tomax and Zammot fit? They seem to be halfway competent businessmen.
They were the twins who ran
Oh.
Cobra Enterprises, which was the business front for Cobra, and it was semi-legit.
Oh, the ones that also did acrobatics?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that essentially they were Cobra's evil equivalent to Siegfried and Roy.
Well, I can't argue that. Although I did think that our heroes and Inhumanoids should be dealing with Destro.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
They built their own shit.
Okay, well then
The villains would. Yeah.
Brother should.
Oh yeah, the villains definitely would. And there was always planned to do more crossover. I just don't know. Oh, because the Sunbow lost the contract at some point.
Oh, is that why?
And they went over and G.I. Joe got redone by another animation company. I think it was Deke.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Theirs was shit. But yeah, there was definitely a few crossovers in Inhumanoids. Not only did their Geraldo Rivera character show up, who showed up in all the series, including Gem.
Mm-hmm.
There was also the Ace, the F-14 pilot for G.I. Joe, at one point crashes his jet, and they build him a suit, and he becomes a member of the Earth Corps.
I do remember that.
Also, the episode where Cobra starts a rock band to brainwash kids.
That should have been a crossover with Gem.
I believe for some reason that had been the plan, and then it didn't happen.
Why are they not, banging at least one of the Misfits?
Well, yeah, it does seem the Misfits should have been hooking up with the Dreadnoks.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's written that way. I mean, come on, look at them.
Although the episode where Cobra starts a metal band was pretty hilarious.
Well, he does scream like a ring wraith. Sosa Bird.
The Dreadnoks were the ones that were the band.
I still think Cobra Commander should be the screamer. Sosa Bird, one of my favorite Magneto bits was in the 2015 Secret Wars. He gets Hope Summers to turn on the Inhumans by just asking, when did the Inhumans ever help you?
Well, he's got a point.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that really hurt the whole overall X-Men story, in my opinion. Now, under Claremont, it wasn't such a big deal because as Claremont wrote them, they weren't really superheroes. They were trying to survive. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
They were just fighting to survive. And
well, Claremont, they also were writing that line between...
Yeah, outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did do illegal stuff, and they did do terrorist acts. Now, most of those were justified.
But still, it's the fact that they're...
But you had mutants committing terrorist acts on Genosha, a foreign nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really liked the Claremont era. But also, that was the era in which Professor X had ditched him to go hang out with his girlfriend.
Moira?
Up in space.
Oh, okay.
The space, was it a Kree?
No, it's a Yolandra, who's a... Tal Shiar?
No, the Tal Shiar were
Shiar.
Tal Shiar.
Somebody else, sorry.
Were the Cardassian.
No, it's the Shiar. There. So Professor X is the Malcolm X of mutants?
Well, I would agree that, Magneto really did work as a Malcolm X type figure. I think LK's got it right.
LK says, are you saying Professor X is Muhammad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Mad Kronk. Kitty Pride said it best. Professor X is a jerk. Elton. Glad I'm not the only one who thinks Charles Xavier is a piece of poop. Wolf 10. So Xavier's a liberal.
Okay, and Elton, just a little step back here. I'm sure you were in full agreement with me that when Polaris got her powers switched out and she suddenly became all ripped, that was pretty hot. Polaris had magnetic powers, and then I forget, something happened to her, and she changed and she got ripped instead.
Yeah. I don't remember what. But...
I think it had something to do with the, Sinister's team.
Mm.
I forget their name. I want to say Ravagers, but they were not called that. The Marauders. Had to do something with the Marauders.
I like Sinister.
Sinister. They had such awesome plans for him when Claremont and what's-his-face created them. And then they fired Claremont. And they made Sinister kind of lame.
Mad Kronk. Yeah, the Inhumans weren't like that. Wouldn't like that. The episode was named Autobot Spike.
Yep. I loved the Transformers as a kid, by the way. Obsessed, in fact.
Neostar, man oh man. First Reed Richards, now Charles Xavier. The Marvel cartoons really sheltered me as a kid. Oh man, I can go forever on Reed. I can go
That
forever
is a
on,
dysfunctional family.
Yeah, on Reed and Sue both.
No, the creepy part is that I want to know who the others were, Blaze and Sue.
Mhm.
But the fact of the matter is in Fantastic Four, Reed was Stan Lee's Avatar, and Ben Grimm, the Thing, was Jack Kirby.
Like, think about that.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Let me go through and see what people are saying here. Michael Connor, G.I. Joe comics was always far superior to the cartoon. I would have to agree, though I have never read any of the comics. Everything I hear about what was in them, I kind of wish I had. And I tried several times to watch the cartoon and just couldn't get into it. I mean, admittedly, anytime, Cobra was on the screen, it was entertaining, but then you'd cut over to the Joes and it's just, teeth hurting, saccharine sweet, just how wholesome they fucking were. I couldn't stand it. Let's see here. Marv, if you can fit the Avengers and the X-Men in America, then you can fit the X-Men and Inhumans on the moon. True, but that's logic. That's logical. And in comic book, logic, you can have Gotham City and Metropolis within 10 miles of each other, and yet there's no bleed over at all from anything. But you can't have, superheroes, two different factions on the moon because they'll step on each other's toes. So it's comics. All this talk of leaders, and we haven't mentioned Dr. Doom. I totally agree, Dandy Spike. We were getting to Dr. Doom. So we will talk about Doom as soon as Ishii gets back in here. And I also agree with you, Artificer Joni. Dr. Doom did nothing wrong. They want to talk about Dr. Doom.
Doom's a great villain. I really liked him because, depending on who's writing him, he's not exactly a villain per se. He's a dictator.
Yes.
But depending on who's writing him, it's not as people don't like living there. Well, it depends. Sometimes they're horribly suffering, and
I see him as the exact opposite of Reed Richards, where he just flat out shows what type of a person he is. He doesn't hide that he thinks that his dick is the biggest in the room, and
he knows
that his dick is the biggest in the room, and damn it, he has his kingdom, and he knows what's best for his people, and you can't tell him otherwise. In fact, he knows that he has the best ideas in general, where Reed Richards hides behind that sweet government grant, and smiles and waves at the crowd and does everything, when really he's ripping holes in space and time and throwing people into an interdimensional prison for reasons.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up. Yeah, Doom, sure, he's evil, he's killed millions, thinks he should rule the world, but at least he's honest.
Yeah, He is honest.
Okay, let's see.
And I prefer the version of Doom where under the mask he looks perfectly normal, except he's got a slight scar.
Yeah, because he's so vain.
Because he's so vain. I like that version.
That was Kirby's envisioning of him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's such a better representation. You know, he would rather be the man in the iron mask than have the world see that he has flaws.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. How can you not love that? Cooper Clark, one of my favorite Doctor Doom quotes. Context. He's talking to Mr. Fantastic. It's the same thing it's always been between you and I. You think you are better than I am.
That's true.
That is true.
That is exactly what it's about. And I think a large motivating factor is he just hates Reed so much. He wants to smash his smug face into his own mistakes, you know? Listen, you smug prick.
Actually, I think that is Doom's one and only real flaw. Is when it comes to Reed, he can sometimes go a little blind.
Mm-hmm.
JEC, Professor X is Elijah Muhammad.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely agree. And if you had portrayed them as Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X, that works perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Considering that Farrakhan had X killed once he stepped out of line.
Yeah.
He said, wait a minute, you guys are full of shit. Kill him. Okay.
Draken, considering that the X gene, which gives mutants their powers, is more or less a manifestation of mental energy manipulation based on psyche, it would stand to reason that Xavier could change anyone's.
Yep.
No, that's very true. Which is why he's so dangerous. Wolf.
No, he's dangerous because he has that power and has an unyielding belief, an unbreakable belief that he's 100% right.
True. It's like he didn't get that message that Peter Parker did, where great power comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm. And Magneto knows that and knows that's his flaw.
Yeah.
When written well.
When written well. Wolf 10, what about Calypso, leader of the Morlocks?
I thought it was Callisto, but I could be wrong. You know, I didn't read enough about her. I mean, the primary story arc that I recall most of her being from is when she was masquerading as a beautiful woman and she was dating Colossus, who had forgotten he was Colossus. I mean, I did read the Mutant Massacre, but I don't think that really left me enough of an impression. So I really can't say.
Owen, so let me get this universe straight. The Inhumanoids and Cobra Law are an underground cult, and Cobra Enterprises owns the Misfits. Also, Mask is connected.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. that all works. Let's see. No, we're not going
into. They're all
into...
rocking out to Jim.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Kat, watch the Shipwreck episode. Ishii will know which one I'm talking about. The one rips your heart out.
I think I missed. What did they tell you about Shipwreck? I was figuring they told you something while I was out of the room.
Nope.
Shipwreck was a sailor.
Oh.
Who was always drunk.
Oh.
Or at least he was written like he was drunk.
Oh, we were talking about we were talking about G.I. Joe, and I shared, somebody mentioned that the comic books were always better than the cartoon, and I mentioned that I never read the comics. I kind of wish I had, and that for the cartoon, I couldn't stand it. I was fine watching Cobra, but the second it cut back to the Joes, it just drove me up the wall.
But the episode that I thought was hilarious was the episode where it was the premise was moronic. G.I. Joe was battling Cobra and accidentally blows up an orphanage. And so they show up the next day to repair the orphanage themselves.
Is this Jem's orphanage?
You know, it should have been. So, you've got this elite paramilitary organization showing up in their tanks, to fix an orphanage, right? And while the kids are waiting for the place to be fixed, Shipwreck tells them a story, and it is so batshit insane. You're like, the writer just wanted to write this.
What does he tell them? Or are we going to have to find it?
I'd have to, really to believe it, you'd have to see it, but
Okay.
it's about Shipwreck the hero as a little boy, and he's stealing cookies from the magic. It's bizarre.
Wow. Mad Kronk. I used to like Doom. In the Secret Wars, the Beyonder judged him a villain, and Magneto was with the heroes. Panda Power. Hate to plug a different YouTuber, but it relates. The Literature Devil has a great video called Is Superman Relevant? About why the modern generation admires villains and anti-heroes instead of heroes.
I would love to be on that guy's show. His shows and his breakdowns and analyses are fucking excellent. I recommend you all listen to them.
Draken. Also, the Earth is being attacked by the Machine Empire and the Decepticons at the same time, while the Rangers and Autobots are fighting them, but there's never a crossover.
They're not the same universe. Okay, let's see.
Elton, you made me look back into those amazing swimsuit specials, and the one from 1994 still has that version of Polaris. Pure quality.
Damn straight. Well, those were good days. Okay, here we go.
Okay, basically, Shipwreck has an accident. He wakes up to find that 10 or 15 years have passed. G.I. Joe has disbanded and his wife and child. And he has a wife and child. Everything seems ideal.
I know it turned. Yeah, I'd have to show you that.
Is this like their version of that episode of Next Gen where Picard lives a day or lives a lifetime in a day?
Sorta. I mean, there was a different episode I'd compare it to, but nearly. Oh yeah, they were an elite secret military organization fixing an orphanage
with their tank. So as long as they swear everybody to secrecy, it's okay.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, except that his friends keep asking him about codes for an old system. Turns out he was captured by Cobra and put into a Truman Show-like town, except that they are androids and that melts into goo.
Damn it. Now, yeah. It was more like the episode where Riker kept getting put through simulations.
Oh, where he thought he was going insane?
No, where he thought he had the perfect life with a son.
Oh, because you had the little alien boy who was lonely.
It was like that.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, we've been on for a little.
That was the episode where I suddenly realized that there was no actual story arc to Next Gen. It was syndicated. It was that episode where I realized that. I was about, 8 or 9?
Okay.
No, I'm just pointing out.
Oh, you thought it was episodic?
Yeah, I thought it was episodic. And again, I was a kid, but I thought it was episodic, and it was that episode that proved to me that it wasn't.
But it was loosely tied together. Loosely.
Only when they wanted it to be, and that really pissed me off. And it's like, okay, so continuity only exists when you want it to.
It almost seemed like, if you watch the original Star Trek, continuity was stronger.
Well, it had continuity. Things that happened in one episode actually continued to have an effect later on.
That and, lesser crew, people who, they weren't just there for one episode. They'd always have them on for at least 3 or 4 and have them in scripts.
Definitely. Well, they only got rid of Yeoman Rand because she was too drunk.
Yeah.
Dark Stranger. How about Goliath from Gargoyles? Yes.
That's your world.
Okay. Goliath.
Keith David, the man. That guy is talented.
Damn. Yeah. Keith David is awesome. When I was a kid, I thought Goliath was a great leader. And now that I'm older, he's the same caliber as Lion-O. If you really think about it, Goliath fucks up a lot. And he actually makes stupid decisions a lot. But with that said, with that said, you can go on the idea of he's still in a weird world that's not his old world. This is a world where you can't just go out and smash things. You actually have to think things through and puzzle solve. And that's not Gargoyle strong suits. I mean, that's part of why Hudson just refuses to take up the mantle again.
And in Gargoyles, at least, they did have a really good reason. Yeah, his sole job as leader then was, hey, bad guys are coming. Yep. Scare them or beat them.
Yeah, we protect this tower. That is it.
And now he's in an entirely new world. He's incredibly naive. Nothing makes sense.
No.
And it's very clear he's not good at making deals.
No. And
he gets suckered quite a few times.
He gets suckered quite a few times. He's impulsive. He's rash. And the young ones are actually more flexible and are actually eager to learn about this world, where you kind of get the impression that if it wasn't for Alyssa, Goliath really, he'd prefer to just stay in his tower and try to reclaim what he lost.
Yeah. In fact, no, the real interesting character in that show was Jonathan Frakes' character.
Oh, Xanatos, yes.
Yeah, because he wasn't quite a villain.
No, he wasn't. He's very much so a Tony Stark character. And he's not a villain, but he's not a hero. He has his own agendas and his own ideas of where things should go. And, 1 minute you're with him, the next minute you're not. So, yeah. David Jack, Megatron would be a better leader if he'd just take down Starscream. There, one less traitor to deal with.
Yeah, originally the reason he kept Starscream around originally was that, one, he was short-handed on the planet, and second, he knew Starscream was too fucking smart to get rid of, that he had value. But as the show went on, he just became Megatron's punching bag. Okay. Let's see.
This is fun just going down the nostalgia lane.
Okay. There we go. Another one for you.
Marv, Brooklyn is a better leader than Goliath, unironically. He was chosen to... No, not Brooklyn. That was Broadway. No, yeah, I agree. Brooklyn is a better leader, and wasn't that why he was chosen to be Goliath's second? Because he would think before he leaped into danger. He did look after his team. He wouldn't put himself into needless danger. He actually did a better job of looking after everybody. LK, it's that Keith David voice. It fools you into thinking he's a good leader. That is 100% true. That really is.
All right.
It just commands attention. It's just too bad he's kind of hapless. Wolf 10, Goliath does learn things, just more slowly than the rookie gargoyles. True.
Okay, let's see.
But I would argue that the plot sometimes requires that Goliath be somewhat of an idiot. And that's where a lot of his slowness comes from. It's not that the character himself is slow to learn. It's that the plot demands it.
Yeah.
Which I kind of don't like. I mean, as good as the writing on that show was in general, I can't think of a single bad episode, but we're still going through all the old shows. There are some episodes where it's like, he's been in this century too long to be that naive. If he had just woken up, it'd be one thing, but they've been in the clock tower.
For how long?
Well, 2.5 seasons.
All right, so give me a second. I've got another graphic I want to post up here.
Ooh, you're getting graphic on us.
Oh, yeah. So you keep talking.
Is it a dirty graphic?
No.
You had to think about it?
No, I was focusing. So you should be talking.
I was talking. I asked you a question.
I lost the quote, but somebody had asked about Antos.
Oh, God.
So I thought I'd share what I thought of. Here, speaking of Heather Antos, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but do you care to comment?
Well, these are all good leaders.
Okay, well, I guess moving on. That was enough of that. Do we need to explain for the audience? Some people may not know what we're laughing about.
Oh, okay. For those of you who don't know, Heather Antos,
Milkshake Girl,
editor-in-chief of Valiant, I believe, posted on Twitter her new tattoo. It's a lightning bolt. It is, in fact, she
said she loved the Flash.
She said she loved the Flash, and that's why she got this lightning bolt. However, the lightning bolt she got is not the Flash. Some people say it's Shazam. Other people say it's the Gatorade lightning bolt. No matter which way you look at it, it's definitely not the Flash lightning bolt. Yeah.
And if anyone would like to share this wonderful meme I've got here, I've posted it up on my Ishii Gray account on Twitter. And it would be really, really, really just a weird coincidence if you all went over and reposted it with the hashtag Heather Antos. Just because we all want a reminder that she knows nothing about comics.
Are we changing the quote from Jon Snow to Heather Antos?
Well, fuck, she's one of the reasons Marvel got ruined.
No, I know.
I mean, that whole Milkshake Mine.
Yeah.
And then she got her face put into one of the games, and it was, God, fuck it. Let's see.
LK, I refuse to believe that is a real tattoo. That looked like someone took a Sharpie. Of course, I don't think it's her wrist either.
Who knows?
Well, even if it's not, she shouldn't have posted it. Actually, if it's not, that makes it worse. It's like, what are you trying to prove? Just how much of an idiot you truly are?
All right. Well, I'm wearing down here. Do you want to call it a night?
Yeah, I'm having fun with this discussion, but I'm also, I'm not kidding. I can't read very much anymore.
Actually, there is one more thing I want to share.
Yes? Oh, yes.
Oh.
Online.
The Cyberpunk, I guess, media resource that will be going along with the show once I get it going, is in a state of construction. It's a bigger undertaking than I ever thought, but it's worth it. Now, okay, let's see. Here's the link to it, cyberpunksourcecode.online. Right now, the only section that is functional is the novels and the FAQ. More will be added soon, but definitely check it out. If you guys think there are any books that should be added, by all means, let me know. And I will be doing the music, movie, and music, movie, and game sections soon. So there you go. Doing on RoboCop. Oh, absolutely. Ideally, I want to make this the ultimate repository for cyberpunk media, because I've been so disappointed with all the ones I've seen online, especially since so many of them try to, it's a cyberpunk is a postmodern sci-fi media. No, it isn't. Fuck off. With lots of feminism and racial awareness.
No.
But yeah, that's coming together quite happily. And yes, we will do all the important ones: RoboCop, Blade Runner, Neuromancer. We'll need someone who actually likes Snow Crash to come on to talk about it with us. I'm sorry, I just didn't enjoy it. I just couldn't get into it.
No, I'm with you. I tried reading it too.
But I acknowledge that it is culturally significant, and that is why I named the second wave of cyberpunk the Diamond Age, after his novel The Diamond Age, because really that was the turning point. When Neil Stephenson started writing, that was the turning point for the genre. The first wave was primarily the 80s until about 92. It started roughly in 78 and ended around 92. The second wave started with the publication of Snow Crash.
Cool.
Yes. All right. Oh, yes, we will absolutely do that. System Shock, yes. We're going to do all this, guys. Yes, Batman Beyond, they're all going to be there.
I think they're demanding another episode of Source Code.
Well, actually, we were going to do it tonight, but
I had school.
But we were going to talk about 80s cartoons instead.
Yes.
Now, you were worried that you wouldn't be able to do more than 5 minutes of this. Look at what we got.
We got an hour and 25.
All right, everyone. We're calling it a night. Don't forget, buy my fucking books. I need them. And more importantly, if you've bought it, please, for the love of Cthulhu, for the love of me, go to Amazon, upvote, give it some stars and say something nice about it. It doesn't even have to be a great review. Just the reviews are even more important than the purchase.
By Shubnibarov's Great Taint, you need this book.
Yes. Funniest damn thing I've ever written.
Yes.
Only 99 cents.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.